Act 1. The dream and the betrayal. I've always been the kind of girl who sees the world in Technicolor, like a Pixar movie waiting to happen. My name is Samantha Hensley, and I'm 16 years old, living in Green Valley, Illinois. This small town feels like it's stuck in time, where everyone knows everyone, and the most exciting thing that ever happens is the annual Harvest Festival. But my mind, it's always 1,000 miles away, in a world of animation and magic. I'm autistic, and sometimes that makes things a little harder for me. Social cues can be confusing, and loud noises can overwhelm me. But when it comes to art, especially animation, I feel like I'm exactly where I'm meant to be. I've watched every Pixar movie, every shorts film, and I've read every book about the making of these films. My bedroom walls are covered in sketches of my own characters, and I've already started working on my portfolio for art school. California Institute of the Arts is my dream, and I'm determined to make it happen. When I saw the flyer for the Disney Club at school, I felt like it was meant for me. A club where we could talk about Disney, watch the movies, and even plan a trip to Disneyland. It sounded like a piece of heaven right here in Green Valley. I couldn't wait for the first meeting. The first day of the club was everything I hoped for and more. There were a few other kids, mostly sophomores like me, and Mrs. Carter, the teacher running the club, seemed super nice. She talked about how we could earn money for the Disneyland trip by doing fundraisers, and I was all in. I've always worked hard, so the idea of earning my way to Disneyland felt right. But not everyone in the club was as excited as I was. There was this one guy, Jake, who seemed to hate me from the start. He'd make snide comments about my animations, calling them weird and babyish, and he'd laugh when I tried to explain why certain scenes in Pixar movies were genius. The other kids in the club were okay, but I could tell they didn't really get why I was so obsessed with Disney. Still, I didn't let that stop me. I was there for Disneyland, and I wasn't going to let anyone bring me down. Act 2. The struggle and the fall. The next few months were a whirlwind of activity. We had to build a parade float for the school's football game, and Mrs. Carter assigned me to handle the design. I worked on that float every day after school, sometimes until the sun went down, making sure every detail was perfect. The other kids helped a little, but mostly they just stood around and talked while I did all the work. I didn't mind, though. I just kept telling myself it was all worth it for Disneyland. Fundraising started soon after, and Mrs. Carter organized bake sales, car washes, and even a night at the local burger place where a portion of the profits would go to our trip. I went to every single event, sometimes bringing in my own baked goods or spending my allowance on burgers just to make sure we had enough money. I even gave up my birthday money when Mrs. Carter said we were still short on funds. My parents were proud of me for working so hard, and I could hardly sleep at night. I was so excited. But then everything started to go wrong. One day, Jake cornered me in the hallway after school. He'd been making fun of me all year, but this time he shoved me into a locker and called me a weirdo in front of everyone. I tried to ignore him, but when he grabbed my sketchbook and ripped it in half, something snapped. I fought back, but I'm not much of a fighter. He beat me up pretty bad, and when the principal came, he blamed it all on me. I got suspended for a week, and when I came back, Mrs. Carter told me I was kicked out of the Disney Club. That's when the bomb dropped. She told me the trip was off. She said they couldn't afford it, and since I was the only one who had been working hard, they decided to cancel the club altogether. She said it was my fault for getting into the fight. My ear was still stitched up from where Jake had hit me, and now I was losing the one thing I'd worked so hard for. Act 3. The plan and the payback. I spent months in a fog of anger and disappointment. I stopped drawing, stopped talking to my friends, and even stopped believing in Disney. It wasn't fair. I'd given everything to that club, and this was how they repaid me. I started telling everyone at school to stay away from the Disney Club, warning them about what Mrs. Carter had done. But no one listened. They just thought I was being bitter. Then, one night, I had an idea. Disney had strict rules about using their name and branding, right? If Mrs. Carter was using the Disney Club to make money, maybe she was breaking some kind of copyright rules. I didn't know much about law, but I decided to do some research. I found the contact information for Disney's legal department and sent them an email explaining what was happening at my school. Within an hour, I got a response. They wanted more information, and they sounded serious. I sent them everything, pictures of the flyers, the emails from Mrs. Carter, and even a video of the parade float with Disney characters on it. I didn't hear back for a week, But then, on a Monday morning, the principal's voice came over the loudspeaker. "Sorry for the disturbance, students," he said, sounding nervous. "But the Disney Club will be canceled for the year due to legal issues. We're sorry for those who wanted to join the club, but we assure you there are other clubs you may enjoy." I sat in my history class, listening to that announcement, and I couldn't help but smile. I'd done it. Mrs. Carter had thought she could take advantage of me, but now the whole school knew she'd been running some kind of scam. Epilogue. The new chapter. It's been a year since all of that happened. I'm still animating, and I've even started selling my own art online. I didn't go to Disneyland, but I realized that I didn't need a club or a trip to make my dreams come true. I'm working hard, and I know that someday I'll be making my own films at Pixar. And as for Mrs. Carter, she's not at our school anymore. I heard she got in some kind of trouble with the district after Disney's legal team got involved. I don't know the details, but I do know that she's not taking advantage of any other students now. So if you're thinking of joining a Disney club at your school, I have one piece of advice. Make sure it's run by someone who actually cares about Disney, not just about making money. And if you're ever in a situation like I was, remember this. You don't have to take it lying down. Sometimes, a little bit of revenge can be a powerful thing.